Do you respect yourself? Honestly, you may not even know. You may have not taken time to even think about what self-respect is, or the benefits of self-respect, or how respecting yourself can actually lead into a much better life. But let's break that down. What is self-respect? I like to think of self-respect as satisfaction of character. How we identify ourselves in this world, our character, our physical, mental, and spiritual character. Can you look at yourself from a higher level point of view? Not just your body, not just your mind, not just your internal guiding system or your personal beliefs, but all of it. Can you look at all of this from an outside perspective and look at yourself as a character in this world? Can you identify yourself as a character? And with that said, we're not identifying ourselves with our body. When I talk about me, I'm not talking about just my body. I'm not talking about just my mind, and I'm not talking about just my spirit, my belief systems, and what I believe to be true in this world. I'm talking about all of it. But for the simplicity of the English language, we might just say you, or I might just say me. What do we identify ourselves as? And that character that we walk around in this world as, are we satisfied with that character? Are we satisfied with the physical form, with the mental form, with the spiritual form of this character that you call yourself you? We can break this down. There's a lot of layers to this, and I think it's helpful to peel back these layers, because once you do walk around in this world with genuine self-respect, it is quite magical what can happen. You're not only going to see the world kind of conform to what you are doing and who you are, but you're going to enjoy yourself, and you're not going to take this world that seriously, because to kind of put it in extreme terms, if someone were to tell you that, you know, the sky is purple right now, you're not going to take that judgment very seriously, because you have a fundamental belief to where whatever is going on outside of your belief system, that is right now the sky being blue. You know, if you can't see the sky, I'm not sure. But let's say someone tries to tell me this board is pink. I know this board is white. I'm not going to react in an overly defensive or dramatic way trying to persuade that person that this board is white, because I already know it is, and it's not that big of a deal if they think this board is pink. Well, just like those little things that may not be a big deal, you could look at the world that way. A lot of us are reacting as if everything is such a big deal, because we're really good at coming up with reasons as to why anything can be a big deal. And a good deal, sure. We can rationalize what is a good deal. I can be very good at that. But I digress. In regards to self-respect, are you looking at your character in this world, physically, mentally, and spiritually, with satisfaction? And once you do have satisfaction of character, as I said, the world tends to conform to you, and you end up having a lot more fun in this world, because nothing is really that serious, because you're not looking for external validation. You're not looking for confirmation from anything or anyone outside of you, because you have true self-respect. And we'll talk about this in another video, but what comes along with self-respect is a lot of self-love. And that's where things really get spiritual and magical, and it could be a whole video on its own, and it will be. So when we're talking about self-respect, let's break this down, let's peel the layers back, and now let's first start with the physical form. When we talk about us or our character in the physical form, on the surface level, we can certainly talk about our body. Do you have self-respect for your body? What does that mean? Well, are you treating your body with care? Do you consciously care for your body? And I could tell you from personal experience that it could be really easy not to care for our bodies, but it can also be really easy to care for our bodies. You know, I've been in decent physical shape, depending on who you compare me against, for pretty much all of my adult life. And a lot of people that know me, they just assume that my genetics enable me to have a physically fit body, because they don't realize how much I consciously care for my body, not in an insecure way, but in literally an automatic way. Because I've been doing it for so long, it is not hard for me to go to the gym 4, 5, 6 times a week. It is not hard for me to eat higher quality foods, because when I don't go to the gym, when I don't eat high quality foods, it changes my life. It changes how I feel. It changes my body. And so do you consciously care for your body? And it may be hard at first because our body is a machine of habits. And we can get into that in another video, but caring for your body consciously, eat good foods, or simply put, eat less bad foods. Poison your body less with alcohol, less with sugar, less with things that you know are not good for your body. Just do less of the bad things and more of the good things. And you will have more self-respect for your body. And by gaining more respect, it will be easier to do the things that you know you should be doing. So aside from our body, where do you go physically? Are you a man that goes where you want to go? If you have thoughts and desires to go to the Bahamas one weekend, do you actually orchestrate your life to go to the Bahamas? Or if you want to see your family in upstate New York, do you actually orchestrate your life to go visit your family in upstate New York? Do you want to go to this restaurant you haven't tried? Or do you want to go to the West Coast and see the cliffs of Moher? Actually, that's in Ireland, but I meant, where's the cliffs in, that's beautiful, Big Bear, or, the cliffs of California are beautiful. And going up the highway of 1A, I believe it is, Pacific Coast Highway. If you want to go there, go there. Do you orchestrate your life to go to the places you want to go to? Or do you let fear and uncertainty and other reasons or excuses take over and prevent you from going where you want to go? Because I bet that if you start going where you want to go, you will start having more respect for yourself. And what do you do physically? What are you doing day to day? Are you doing things that you respect? Are you observing what you're doing every day? A lot of us, we have jobs, we go to work, or we work on things outside of our job that support our goals, to support the character that we become satisfied with. What are you doing every day? Take some time to think about what you're doing consciously every day. And by being more conscious about what you do, you will have more self-respect in the physical realm. Now let's talk about mental. Do you have self-respect for you mentally? And this can be a little more complicated because now we're going beneath the surface a little bit. So some people may not quite understand what it means to look at yourself from a mental perspective. And if we start to think about that, I kind of wrote some ideas with all these categories. It's not the end-all be-all within these categories of thought. But mentally, how are you making your decisions? Are you the type to be super indecisive? When you're faced with a decision, do you take forever to decide? Or do you look for someone else to decide for you? I know a lot of people, even at the grocery store, they don't know whether to get the spicy nacho Doritos or the regular Doritos, or you should try the barbecue Doritos, and as we talk about eating healthy. But making decisions, we're making decisions every day, and there's small decisions like the flavor of Doritos, and there's big decisions like who you should partner up with in marriage. Are you able to make decisions? And we can do a whole video on decision making, but to gain self-respect, simply get better at making decisions. And it's not a matter of making the right decision, because time will only tell whether you made the right decision or not. There are so many factors to consider that we may or may not even know about, or we certainly can't control, that when you're trying to make a decision, it's not a matter of making sure you make the right decision. What's more important is actually making the decision, because as you make a decision, now you can make progress, you can move forward, and you can adapt and pivot with new information that comes in or progress is being made. And you can always turn around and go back if you need to in life. There's a lot of things we can start over with or shift around if we need to, but are you making decisions? The more decisions that you make, I guarantee the more self-respect you will have. Because, for example, let's say you're in a group setting and someone's trying to look for a volunteer. You decide if you want to volunteer, raise your hand and fucking go for it. Don't wait for someone else to decide for you or to pick you. make the decision. Just make the decision. And then on another note with mentally having self-respect, your knowledge. Are you the type of person to pursue more knowledge? As we have probably come to discover, depending on how old you are, is an unlimited amount of information out there. But are you pursuing knowledge in the topics that you're interested in? Maybe you're interested in sports. Maybe you're interested in psychology or sales or finance or automotive projects. It doesn't really matter, but are you continuing to learn in life? I guarantee the more you pursue more knowledge, regardless of the topic, the more self-respect you will have, because you're not just a lazy, dumb person sitting around just reacting to whatever's coming to you. You're taking care of your body. You're going where you want to go. You're doing what you want to do. You're making decisions to orchestrate your life in the way that you want, and you're gaining knowledge and expertise on how to make it happen. Another topic in the realm of mentally self-respecting yourself is perspective. Do you gain perspective? Are you willing to consider other people's perspective, even if you don't automatically agree with what they're saying? There's a lot of benefit to looking at things from different angles. And the older you get, life will show you the benefit of having different perspectives. And you'll find that a lot of people agree much more than they disagree. And if you can change your perspective and look at things from another person's point of view, you might take in more information that'll either get you closer to where you want to go in life or allow you to gain understanding as to where they're coming from, so you can appreciate what they're trying to do. Because if you can focus on what's trying to be done and you can allow yourself to share other people's perspective, you can help people achieve their goal even if they think they disagree with what you're trying to do or with what you're saying. And I promise you, the more perspective you gain from different cultures, different people, different angles on a situation, the more respect you will have for yourself and for other people. And so that's kind of a synopsis, a very short summary of ways we can respect ourselves mentally. Now let's get into an even deeper topic, and that's spiritually. Do you respect yourself spiritually? And this is something that a lot of people aren't thinking about, but more and more people are experiencing. Different components of our lives can be described as spiritual. And as we tap more into the spiritual parts of ourselves, it could be very interesting to observe what happens to your character in life. And I want to bring up God. Spiritually, God can be seen as the foundation of it all. We all have heard of different types of religion, and people may argue about whose is right, whose is wrong. But every religion can agree that there is God, and you don't have to be religious to be spiritual. I consider myself much more spiritual, much more focused on God than different stories that point to God. I don't necessarily care as much about the validity of a story as I do the value of the lesson. And a lot of these lessons in many different languages can get us closer to God. And the more we realize that God is in everything, God is not a person that's trying to judge everyone and decide who goes to heaven or hell. But the more you experience life, the more you realize that the energy of God is in everything, including you, including us. The spiritual component of you is your connection to God. God is in everything at every time, every place. And you can exercise your ability, you can expand your ability to recognize God in other people, and certainly yourself. You'll be able to experience God in different scenarios, in different things, just like, this tree. And now as science continues to evolve, we can prove these things, that this tree actually has an energetic field that can be measured. This tree has a way of energetically not only representing itself, but communicating to us and accepting communication from us. And just like provably we can communicate with each other in these, different things in life that we're seen as inanimate objects, we now can prove that there is an energy that can be described as God in everything. And the more you realize that, the more you express that truth, not only in what you do, but how you observe the world, the more magical the world becomes in a much better way. And so also on a spiritual component, the connections, as we talked about how I can connect with this tree and this tree can connect with me, we can connect with people. You can connect with different parts of yourself, as we're doing now. You can connect with different people in different levels as well. And the more you do that, the more you are expanding your spirituality. And I guarantee the more you do that, the more respect you will have for yourself. And similar to the mental plane, on the spiritual plane, you will also have more respect for other people, because you will see how connected we all really are. Whether you agree or disagree with people, whether they look like you or don't look like you, we all are connected in many different ways. And as I mentioned, science is continuing to expand on that. And the more knowledge you get on that, the more understanding and belief you get on that, the more self-respect you will have for you and others in a spiritual way. And also energetically, we kind of touched on that as well. Everything can be measured in a form of energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed, as science has proven. And energy can be transferred through the connections, and it can be given to us, as one may claim, by God. Not as a human figure dispersing energy, but energy is everything. And we are forms of energy that are able to express ourselves in matter, which is our body. But energy, understanding energy and looking into how things can be energetically measured, energetically expressed and described, that will expand your spirituality and in turn expand your self-respect. And so this is a bit of a summarized video with very deep and wide-ranging topics, but they're all connected. And so to gain self-respect, you can gain satisfaction of character. And to understand what your character is, you got to know that you have a physical form, a mental form, and a spiritual form. And you can break these down into different ways. You can respect yourself physically with your body, with what you do, with where you go. You can look at yourself mentally with how you make decisions, the knowledge you gain, the perspective you gain, or spiritually, your understanding and connection with God and other people and how energy is all around us. And by looking at all of this and taking time to reflect on all of this, you're going to find your own truth. And it's really interesting how when we take time to think about these things, there's a sense of knowing or even remembering that occurs. And so let's all have more self-respect for ourselves in different ways, and we'll start to respect each other a lot more too. Think about that.